Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fantasy NBA Today, Sports Ethos Show brought to you by our great partners at FanDuel. I'm Aaron Bruski, joined as always by the great Dr. A. Today's show, we're going to be diving into the top ads, breaking down players in our drop zone, and highlighting the best streamers to help you win your week. Quick reminder, if you're watching live on the Sports Ethos YouTube channel, we have Q&A with Dr. A coming up in about 90 minutes. The link is in the description of this episode. So you can actually jump in right now and start dropping your questions. So let's get started, Doc. How you doing? Who's your top ad?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Terrible. I'm snotting all over the place, and I'm going to throw up during today's episode. We're going to get a bodily fluids tag, and this time it won't be controversial.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, we're starting.
I'm going to add a player who did not play yesterday, and that is Ryan Kalkbrenner, as Moussa Diabate has been suspended by the NBA for 4 games due to his role in a fight that was, as far as NBA fights go, that was a pretty good one. A lot of times they're just out there sort of hold me back, but they were going after it. And anyway, Moussa got 4 games. That means it should be all Kalkbrenner all the time in the middle for Charlotte. So I don't really care that Kalkbrenner's numbers have basically been garbage for the last month. For at least the next 4 games, he should be a serviceable and available center.
I love your commitment to pronouncing the L in Kalk. Kalkbrenner. Hey, I got a question for you, Doc. What do you think about Kalkbrenner taking the job?
Commitment.
Yeah, I want to know commitment. What's the odds you think that he can win the starting job back? Like, I think that's the biggest deal here, because if he can't, then he's not going to hold up. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. Charlotte's been rolling with Moussa in there. I don't think they're gonna change anything. And like you said yesterday, I think there's some suspensions, say like Paul George's, where your team is sort of like WTF, what in the hell, bro? And then there's other suspensions where it's like, hey man, thanks for having my back, or whatever it might be. And so I think the Moussa Diabate one is one that is, I don't want to say it was looked at favorably, but it's accepted and like, okay, tough guy.
Culturally acceptable. In hockey, they beat the crap out of each other and they don't even get in trouble. I guess like a 2-minute penalty or something like that. I'll take us to read. That's a fine ad because, again, I mean, Kalkbrenner had top 60 value, top 80 value at worst during the first month of the season. If he can get cranking, especially even if it's just for the 4 games or whatever, that'll be worth it for you guys. I'll take us to Reed Sheppard. He had 16 points, 6 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, 4 threes, just under 30 minutes. And there's 2 things going on with Reed Sheppard, aside from the bad shooting the last month and a half or so, which dropped him beneath the 150 line for that amount of time. And he's at about a 110 to 125 range on the season while shooting 42.5%. So that's like his Mason-Dixon line. I don't think, he's a worse shooter than that. I do think he can climb up and be better than that. And he's also shot so poorly over the last couple months that you have to think that the regression is coming, that he's heading back over toward like 44%. And when he does that, and when he was doing that previously, he was producing at a top 80 per game level and had flirted with top 60 value on the season by totals. And that's where he's kind of at still. He's a top 80 guy by totals this season. So if you just rode the waves and didn't care, and actually if you just sort of benched him during this cold shooting streak and didn't drop him, that's the good way to handle all of this. And aside from the shooting regression that's on its way, I also think that if Houston, for whatever reason, they want to play conservatively down the stretch, they want to rest some guys. Kevin Durant strikes me as a guy that they might want to rest. The idea that Reed Sheppard is the guy that mops up. And if you look in April and Reed Sheppard's just kind of going off at 30 minutes per game and taking on a lot of the offense, that wouldn't be shocking at all. And we've actually seen that in the past. So I'm pretty pro Reed Sheppard right now, and I think he's a must roster player. Doc, who do you got?
Let's go Quentin Jackson of the Indiana Pacers. I got fired up about Quentin Jackson like 10 days ago. And he proceeded to come in and play 6 minutes in one game and 1 minute in another and not even play in another. And it was like, oh, man, this sucks. Tuesday, A week ago, Tuesday, he played 17 minutes and hit 9 of 10 shots and scored 24 points. And then he did not play for a week. And then he came out last night on Tuesday, a week later, played 28 minutes, had 19.6 boards, 3 assists, a steal, a block, 4 triples. Do I trust Quentin Jackson going forward? Not really. But tonight, the last I checked, it looks like no Pascal Siakam, Neesmith, Nemhard, McConnell, Zubac, Jarris Walker, and Micah Potter are both questionable. I know Jarris has an illness, and with all those guys out, man, Quentin Jackson has to do it again, at least for one game. He's probably more of a streamer than a straight up ad, but I think the Pacers are going to start doing this like every other game or every back-to-back situation they have. You're going to see all the starters on the bench.
I'm a big Quentin Jackson guy. I'm really strongly considering just making him kind of a must roster player in standard league formats, as far as a recommendation goes, like right now. It just feels like it's there for him. And we do need to get an announcement of him getting a full deal for the rest of the season. And actually kept him out of my 30 deep lineup this week because I didn't know if he would be playing as a result of that. But with all those guys sitting, just keep an eye on the sportsethos.com blurb feed and make sure that you're up to date on the latest and greatest. But to me, it just seems like he's going to be the guy going forward as they roll with the tank. And that's going to be
risk though, man, because he only played 2 games in the last 2 weeks. I mean, that's why you didn't play him in your deep league.
Yeah, I think they're counting games. He has a little bit of an injury history as well, but I mean, we're talking about a small sample size of about 25 games, and they need to go for it. This team needs to lose games with the best of them. And maybe Quentin's going to contribute too much toward winning. I'm kind of joking there, but I just think
they need to lose games with the same. What did you call it? The same dedication I have to the L in Kalkbrenner.
Yeah, exactly. They need the L.
The same enthusiasm.
They're trying to get the L, man. It feels like, while there's some risks, the likelihood of having a solid, spunky, poppy point guard, he's not really a point guard, I guess. I don't know. But he's poppy. He's always putting up multi-category stat lines. And I just don't think this Indiana Pacers team, I think these starters are going to play like over under maybe 10 to 15 games the rest of the way. And he'll get minutes in the games that they play too. But that deal is going to be key. Okay, I'll take us to Royce O'Neal, who had 12 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, 4 threes. Some of the band was back. Devin Booker, Jalen Green, they played. This game was a blowout, and then it wasn't a blowout, but then it was a blowout again, and Dallas had no intention of playing in this game. But Royce O'Neal is a contributor for a squad, that's going to play deep into the end of April, most likely. And there's some value in that. I mean, if you're looking at a fantasy playoff situation, maybe his numbers aren't quite as hot. But as Grayson Allen is out the next couple of weeks, he's got a pretty stable role. And you might be able to continue that through the end of the season in April, depending on which format you're in. So, Doc, who else you got?
Well, for the San Antonio Spurs last night, we saw Stephon Castle take a pretty big spill, hurt his tailbone, left the game, did not return. Devin Vassell started and had 9 points and 2 steals. He was fine, but he didn't really do much. But Brew, a guy that I was kind of high on yesterday, I was chirping a lot about Dylan Harper. And Dylan Harper played 27 minutes, scored 15 points, had 3 boards, 6 assists, and a steal. Didn't hit any threes, but Dylan Harper might be a guy that fills in nicely for Stephon Castle if he's going to miss time with this injury.
They were talking, the beat writing crew was talking as if this was kind of a low grade, just playing it safe kind of a deal, falling on his hip the way that he did. That said, they did say it looked like it hurt a little bit. So maybe, these things get worse overnight and the team takes a closer look at it and it is a week off. I'm not counting on Stephon Castle missing any time, but Dylan Harper being poppy is one of the reasons why when you called that streamer play yesterday, I thought it was a good call right there. All right, it was a short night with just 4 games, not a ton of ads to go through, but let's get over to the drop zone, Doc. Players who are struggling, potential buy lows, players you never want to see again. Who do you got?
Brook Lopez, really both of those centers for the Clippers, man. I think we want our guy Johnny Collins instead of Brook Lopez or Yannick Conan Niederhauser. Brook Lopez started and played 29 minutes. You're like, yes. And when the Zubac trade went down, you and I had to sort of figure out who's going to get the minutes at center. And we both said the bottom line is you pick up Brook Lopez and hope it works out. Well, the minutes are fine, but he only scored 7 points and had 2 rebounds. He did have a steal, a block, and a 3. Okay, that's fine. But come on, Brolo. Like, I don't know, man. Is Brook Lopez washed? And my other question, Yannick Conan Niederhauser, I don't think you need to hold him any longer. 13 minutes and 3 points and 4 boards, and 2 blocks. I don't know, man. I don't think it's going to happen. John Collins got 30 minutes, 17 points. I feel like John Collins is going to suck all the life out of the center position there.
Well, and with the loss, it is just another thing to kind of point the arrow in the wrong direction for guys like Kawhi Leonard. But really, I think of Kawhi Leonard and, my next drop zone guy is Benedict Mathurin. So I'll kind of shift into that conversation as well as I go here. But like these two guys don't pass the ball very much. They're not natural passers. And if Brook Lopez isn't really a part of your game plan, he's just going to sit out there and take any shot that comes his way, but it's not heading his way that often. So you get these low field goal attempt games, and it's really just dependent. Did he hit? If he took 6 3-point shots, did he hit 2 of them? Did he hit 3 of them? Did he get a block? And did he happen to get a steal? And that's just that's not enough to go on in the vast majority of standard leagues out there. So I'm good with a drop, and I'm also interested that in seeing if Isaiah Jackson has any chance at all against Yannick Conan Niederhauser, because watching Niederhauser run around out there, I feel like he's got the edge on Jackson and just about everything except for experience and maybe some feel in the pick and roll and just the offensive game near the cup. But like overall, the things they're out there on the floor for, the defense and the athleticism, I think that's Niederhauser. So it looks like a wasteland at the center position there in LA. And then for Benedict Mathurin, he had 9.7 boards, 4 assists, 3 steals, 26 minutes. Obviously not enough there for a standard league line. And this, I think, is going to be kind of an every other game thing, is where he just sort of hangs out, doesn't do much because Kawhi is doing all the heavy lifting. And then, occasionally popping off for like 25 points and some goodies. But when you average it all out, I just don't think you're going to get anything more than late round value. And you probably don't have late round value guaranteed to you. So if you see something shiny on the waiver wire, feel free to go pick that up. Doc, who do you got next?
My guy, Brandon Williams of Dallas. I mean, I don't know. Dallas has 19 wins. The dream is dead. I posted the highlights of a Dallas. They scored like 42 points in the first quarter a couple of years ago. And it was Luka out there doing crazy stuff and Kyrie and like the whole squad. And it was just so fun and joyous. And they were just dominating. And you look at Dallas today, and it's just a bunch of sad people everywhere. It's like walking to Johnny B's now. Everybody's crying and everybody's sad. And Nico took their Johnny B's away, and it's sad, man. And now Tyus Jones started last night for Dallas. Brandon Williams came off the bench. Everybody got minutes. It just feels like the Brandon Williams ship has run its course, sailed.
Did Tyus Jones play at Duke? Do we know that? I'm just so curious.
He played at Duke.
Those M&Fers, I cannot stand
collecting Dukies.
It is what it is, isn't it? Like these business relationships that drive playing time, and it's I scratch your back, you scratch mine. I'll take us. Let's mention Marvin Bagley. I got Marvin Bagley somewhere. I think somewhere. Maybe I don't. We're talking about him now. 9 points, 8 boards, 2 assists, 24 minutes. Like, why do you bring in Marvin Bagley when you got Musa Cisse sitting there? Like, it's pretty dumb. Like, but Marvin Bagley's not going to be like an NBA. I mean, he's a player. He can handle NBA minutes, but he's not going to help you win. There's nothing. There's no there. You know, like you're bringing in these guys, and there's no point to it. There's like you want to see what Brandon Williams can do. You want to see what Musa Cisse can do. I don't know. Maybe it's a favor, but I doubt it. I bet you they trot these guys out all the rest of the season, and it's a bit of a mess. But Bagley, for his part, hit all 4 of his field goals. Fairly efficient line. Like I've been mentioning, I've been taking Bagley and adding him wherever I've got Cisse, which is basically everywhere, to be the bridge to Cisse. It's not must-hold stuff. It's just like tactical, especially if you need big men stats and depending on your builds. But like, you know, beyond that, if you got Bagley because he had the big line in his debut game, and you're wondering, can he keep pulling it off? I don't think he could keep pulling it off on an every night basis. There was no defensive stats in this game. So the Marvin Bagley experience in a nutshell: 1 good game, 1 bad game, and not much value overall. So that's a shame. That's a shame. I forgot about that Duke connection there. Let's also get to Aaron Nesmith. Aaron Nesmith, 11 points, 8 boards, 2 blocks, 1 3, 36 and a half minutes. Not bad there. Great game, you know, between them and the Knicks last night. You can't really argue with how he played, but he's going to get benched during the tank, and the numbers haven't been good enough anyway. So if you are hanging on to hope for Aaron Nesmith and or a lot of the other starters in Indiana, I think you should move on. Doc, who do you got next?
Brew, that Indiana game, I told you yesterday that the Pacers were going to try to win that game. The players were. I don't think the coaches were, but they hate the Knicks.
Did you bet that for us on air? Because when I was watching that game, I kept thinking to myself, I was like, I hope a lot of y'all cleaned up out there, because that just, as I was watching it, it became obvious to me that they were going to try to win that game. And you said it on air, and I kind of maybe I glossed over it. That was such an easy call.
I also called Spurs by 30, and they won by 28. But I mean, who's keeping track of this stuff?
Nobody except Dr. A. But good job, man. That's a great call right there. I hope you bet that.
It helps make up for the
minus 30.
It helps make up for all the missed names that I screw up, and the bad calls that I make. But anyway, Brew, next on my list, Jose Alvarado. I think I got his name correct. He plays for those New York Knicks that we were just talking about. They got beat at home in overtime by the Pacers last night. I like Alvarado. In New York. Brew, I think when they got Alvarado, I think I said it makes the Knicks better. I like him better in real life than I do fantasy. And the only reason that I say that is because Jalen Brunson plays all those minutes, and he does it every night. He played 42 minutes last night and had 40 points, and he's just so ball dominant and minutes dominant, and like he is the core. He's the heart and soul of the New York Knicks, and he's just on the court all the time, which means Alvarado can't get out there very much. And last night he only played 18 minutes in an overtime game, had 4 points, 5 assists, no steals. I like Alvarado, the player. I like his fantasy game. I just don't know if being stuck behind Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart and I don't know if that's the right place for him. The fact that Landry Shamet started and played 38 minutes, like I'd rather see Alvarado get some of those minutes, but I don't know. I just don't know if Alvarado can be worth fantasy usage if he's stuck there.
Yeah, Shamet kind of choked on the very last play. It was a hard pass that he had to catch to try to get a shot off, and he ended up getting fouled, and that was the end of their potential comeback in that game. Mike Brown every now and then latches onto an idea, and I would have just tossed Alvarado out there for, at least the 20th and the 24th minute. They're small. with Brunson. I think what will happen here is he will be good against teams that they're good against. And for whatever reason, the Knicks cannot play the Indiana Pacers. They're just like, the Pacers have their number. It is what it is. And the Pacers can be terrible all season and walk in MSG and have a game. Not worth a standard league hold at this point in time, Jose Alvarado. Jalen Green is my last drop zone guy. 12 points, 1 rebound, 4 assists, 2 threes, 20 minutes. Nothing about this line is surprising. A lot of rust. He's knocking off, and they're being super careful with him as they head into the break. I think the biggest issue with Jalen Green is that he can't really come into this thing and start to kind of lay claim to usage. And even if you were the coach and you wanted to give him usage, let's say you were big on Jalen Green and you just wanted to kind of hit the reset button and start the season after the All-Star break with him as your lead guy, you wouldn't be able to do it because his team has generated so much rhythm behind so many different players. And there is a speed and a pace of the game that they play with in Phoenix that I don't think Jalen Green is going to be able to duplicate right off. So what does all this mean? I think it means that instead of being a top 60 guy, he might be more of like a top 90 guy as we get down to the final months of the season. And so he's not a drop guy. I think it'd be kind of crazy if you held him all this time or if you just picked him up because somebody, got fed up with it. I wouldn't do all that to get a drop right now. I would wait until you see where this heads. And that said, if injuries continue to linger, if he's slowly getting integrated and you got some tough choices to make, you get a rock solid free agent that hits the waiver wire, you might be put into a hard position at some point in time with Jalen Green. So it's probably 50-50 if he's going to get dropped at some point in time down the stretch for being a little bit lower product, producing a little bit less than we thought he would. He needs to score a lot, and he needs to do a lot of PRA because he's not a big defensive stat guy, and also can shoot you out of a field goal percentage if he's not hitting. So Jalen Green, not a drop, just somebody to lower some expectations on. All right, Doc, let's talk streamers. Who do you got tonight?
I've got Kasparis Yakichonis. It's funny, Brew.
On a 1 to 10.
I had it and then I choked. Kasparis.
I think the first name is getting you more than the last name, but
what
about the guy?
The first name throws me off, and then I jack up the second name. It's funny because whenever Tyler Hero is out, earlier in the year, I was all Davion Mitchell, and sometimes you and Andre were like, "Ooh, what about Drew Smith?" But we never really talked about Yakichonis. And dude, those guys are out again tonight. Pella is out, Tyler Hero is out, Norm Powell out. So, it's his show again. This Yakichonis. Last Sunday, he had 22 points and 6 dimes with a block and 2 steals and 6 triples. And then Monday, the very next day, he had 20 points, 3 boards, 6 more triples. And now with no Tyler Hero again tonight, I don't know why he's not going to go off again. I'm locking him in. I think he's a solid pick up and stream for tonight, and if he goes off, then you just hang on to him until this ride comes to an end. But Andre's asking in the chat.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the world's greatest producer, Andre Lamouche, he's been quiet today, and so he just decided to stir things up.
Yeah, should he drop Khalil Ware and pick up Yakichonis? It's a great question. I'm okay with dropping Ware in certain instances, but I don't think I would drop him to pick up a guy that may just completely go away once Tyler Hero's back.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. What about the choice between Kasparis and Kalkbrenner? Like, which one would you prefer to stream?
I mean, one's a point guard and one's a center. So hopefully I don't have to think about that. But I think if just for tonight, I'm going Yakichonis. As a pickup, I think I'm leaning Kalkbrenner just because I'm at least guaranteed 4 games out of him.
Yeah, I do think that's actually the right dichotomy there. If you're looking for longer term value, try Kalkbrenner out. But if this is about turning and burning, Yakichonis, and he's been pretty damn good lately. It's going to be hard to hold that value with Tyler Hero around, and we'll probably get some news on him over the break. This is more of a PSA, I guess, than anything. I feel like Paul Reed's already picked up in most competitive situations, but no big men for the Detroit Pistons here for a couple games. So Paul Reed's going to carry this thing and probably carry late round value in the games where Jalen Duren is back. So you're going to get 5 additional games with Paul Reed having some sort of late round value. And he's been known to reach up to the sky and put up some crazy lines. I remember I had Paul Reed ranked like 75th in the B150, I think 2 years ago. And that dude, through his 20 minutes a game every single night or whatever it was like 14 minutes. It was some low number. And that dude, he was terrible early on. That guy cruised all the way to a 75 finish. And it was just what Paul Reed does. He's a stat guy. So the first 2 games could be great. The next 5 games could be late round stuff, but still, kind of must roster at this point in time for somebody in your league. Who else you got, Doc?
I've been burned by Paul Reed every single time I've taken the bait. And it's been years and years of getting burned by Paul Reed. And I agree with you. I mean, he has to do well with these guys out for Detroit, but I still don't really trust him, man. I wouldn't be surprised if he puts up a dog, but I hope he does well because a lot of people are rolling with Paul Reed. And I'm just going to throw this on the tail end of what you're talking about. I think Tobias Harris is also a pretty interesting stream tonight, just because Detroit needs guys with size, and Tobias Harris fits that bill. Do you have anything you want to add to that, Brew?
No, I think that was perfectly covered, Doc.
Oh, okay. Do you agree that it's possible that people have been burned by Paul Reed?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I've been burned by Paul Reed.
Yeah, I mean, the whole big thing ones are few and far between.
But yeah, well, yes and no. Like, I feel like anytime he's been given like a 30-minute run, he's not. I think maybe like a third of the time he'll dog out and like get you like a top 150, 175 line. But most of the time, when he's getting 30 minutes in a night, you're going to get something that's inside the top 100. Close to a double-double with some goodies. And then there's the theoretic where he just goes nuts. And that happens probably about a quarter of the time when he's got a clear runway. There's nobody else to play, so I like the idea of running to get Paul Reed, even if you've had your heart broken, we are getting close to Valentine's Day, folks. If you've had your heart broken, give him another chance.
My next stream is Anthony Simons. I mean, this guy should probably be picked up everywhere at this point. Trey Jones and Josh Giddey are both banged up. I don't know if we're going to see either one of them before the All-Star break. Simons is on a heater, 51% shooting over his last 4 games, 22 points, 3 boards, 4 assists, 4 threes. Not going to get a lot of defense out of him. He's not going to steal the ball too much. He was stealing it a little bit in Boston, but he has not been stealing it in Chicago so far. But I think Anthony Simons, if you can pick him up and put him in your lineup, I think it's a smart move right now. Jaden Ivey as well, but I like Simons a little bit better right now.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards Jaden Ivey just because of the stat set. Like, Simons feels like he needs to go for like 25 points, ballpark to equal a Jaden Ivey, 15, 16 point line with, the associated rebounds, assists, and steals. Simons just doesn't get the defensive stats for you. So I lean Ivy, but I think I actually believe that Simons will have the more productive, overall games from a scoring perspective. And that puts you in a little bit of a stat set question there, which one you like better. Let's get to Brooklyn because we love Brooklyn. Danny Wolf and Day'Ron Sharpe. I believe Nick Claxton is doubtful for tonight's game. So it feels like this is a foregone conclusion that we're going to get all the Danny Wolf and Day'Ron Sharpe that we can handle, all 20 minutes for both of them, and with 20 minutes a game in a situation like that, where Brooklyn really needs a loss after winning the other night, the Wolf and Sharpe crew could get out there and do some things. I'm tongue-in-cheek with a lot of this stuff, but Wolf has been a little noisy lately. Dayron Sharp was bad in the last one, good in the one before that, pretty good in the one before that, and had a nice stretch of being bad before that. So it's a little bit of a lottery ticket here, and maybe you get some upside after the break if they really aggressively start shutting guys down. But that's a lot of ifs and buts and candy and nuts. Doc, who do you got next?
I was going to say something very inappropriate, but I'm not going
to. We need all the flags we can get.
Yeah, I don't want to get us flagged. In the last 7 games, Brew, Ryan Kalkbrenner has not played 20 minutes. It's been 19 or fewer minutes in his last 7 games. The last time he played 20 minutes in a game was January 26th against Joel Embiid and the Sixers. He had 13 points, 9 boards, a steal, and 3 blocks. There's no way Kalkbrenner does not get at least 25 minutes in this game tonight as long as he's healthy. And he should get 30 to 35. So that is why I'm telling everybody to fire up Kalkbrenner.
We will get a data point out of this, though, is if he's hurt, if that's part of the whole calculus behind him coming off the bench and Musa getting the starting nod in the starting role, like we'll see him play just 20 minutes tonight, and they'll figure out a way around it, but if there's no injury, chances are he'll crank up to 30 and have a really good game. So we'll at least get that data point out of it. Let's get to Nick Richards, who was noisy in the last game. Jalen Smith is dinged up. It feels like Nick Richards has a chance here to get you some points, boards, and if he throws in some defensive stats, it's a nice treat. Doc, you got any honorable mentions for everybody?
Yeah, I think Ben Shepherd and the aforementioned Quentin Jackson in Indy. Indy's tanking. They're resting every single starter tonight, is not playing. To me, Quentin Jackson, especially if Jarris Walker plays and you can get your hands on him, do it. He's questionable with an illness. If Quentin Jackson plays, which he's going to, fire him up tonight. And I think Ben Shepherd is probably one of the better players other than those two that might have a good game tonight as the Pacers are resting everyone.
Yeah, and I'm going to take us to Washington for some honorable mentions. It may be more than an honorable mention. It's Trey Johnson. I think a lot of people are gun shy with Washington right now. They've done some weird stuff, benching guys. Trey's had his own injury issues, so we're heading into the break. We're kind of limping into this thing. They are playing Cleveland tonight, so I think they're confident they will lose this game, so they're going to toss some of their better players out there. So Trey Johnson, though, I mean, aside from maybe being a little bit of a disappointment lately, he is a guy that's constantly mentioned by Washington in their press releases and how they talk with outlets like The Athletic as one of their key guys. And it makes sense. He's a highly drafted guy, and he deserves it. If he's not in this mix down the stretch, it will be a little bit surprising, though. I do think there's a possibility he misses 5-6 games due to tanking alone. And if there's some injury issues mixed in there, it'll just kind of make it worse. But heading into tonight, even on a busy slate, I like Trey Johnson for the chance that he can get right. There's a little bit of rust factor there. But you get your hands on a good asset and possibly get a good poppy game out of it. And then Olivier Maxence Prosper, points, boards, and threes. He's the last man standing in the front court for Memphis. That seems like a good place to take a chance. Maybe it's deeper league territory on a busy night. And then in the same squad, Kyle Anderson. It's almost like we turned back the clock a couple of years, Doc. He's back and they're relying on him, and it's not great. But you know what? It's there. And if you're in a deeper format, you might get some classic Kyle Anderson stats, some rebounds, some steals, and some blocks. And that's going to do it for this episode of Fantasy NBA Today. If you're listening on that pod feed, take 60 seconds, leave a 5-star review. It really helps us out. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the Sports Ethos channel so you guys never miss an episode. From Doc, Andre, and everybody here at Sports Ethos, Doc will be right back with the Q&A with Dr. A, and we'll be dropping our daily fantasy deep dive right after that, available exclusively on the Fantasy NBA Today podcast feed and the Sports Ethos YouTube channel. This has been Fantasy NBA Today, presented by FanDuel.
FanDuel.